table calculations, configuring table calculations. As with quick table calculations, we can also leverage the Edit Table Calculations dialog window. This allows us to fine-tune our table calculations. So let's explore this by going into Tableau. So let's create a new worksheet. Let's call this configuring my table calculations. Again, we're going to build something quite simple. So let's take order date in. Let's take states. Let's drop that in. Let's take TC cells. And what I want us to do now is take TC min cells for the table calculation. Just double click to include it. Now, as you can see, right now TC min cells is calculating across the table. It's quite clear to see. What I want us to do for a little bit of fun is expand the year to include quarter, and let's fit with. So right now this is nothing we haven't done before. We have TC min cells. However, I want us to right click on this pill and go to Edit Table Calculations. What I want us to do is explore this dialog box for our custom written table calculations. So interestingly enough, you have the same options here, and as you can see, as you click on them, Tableau dynamically updates everything. But however, you have a very interesting option here, which is specific dimensions. What this means is that you have the option of checking or unchecking one of these boxes. Now, the easiest way to understand this is that if you are ticking the box, you want it to be included in the calculation, i.e. you want the dimension to definitely play a part. Whereas if you don't tick, we call that partitioning or grouping. Or I like to think of it as if you untick, then you calculate per that item. Let's see what that means, but here's the easiest way to really understand this. If you click on table across, you can see it's grayed out, but Tableau has actually done your dimensions for you. So as you can see, if you're calculating across, Tableau is actually taking the values for each year and quarter and figuring out the minimum, and then putting that value, grouping it per state, because state is not ticked. If we go down, as you can see, we're calculating value, the minimum value for each individual state, and as you can see, quarter and year are unticked, so therefore these values can be different because we're calculating top to bottom. So we can actually explore this and see how this works. The key thing here is that if the item is ticked, then that's what we are going to use to calculate the minimum value, i.e. in this case, the minimum value per state, and then group by quarter and group by year because they are unticked. If you, for example, want a cross, you can see that it should be year and quarter ticked. If you click on specific dimensions, you can see that year and quarter has been ticked automatically for you. You can also further refine by looking at the following. If you, for example, have a very complicated view and you need to adjust further and fine tune, you can either say deepest, i.e. calculate based on both that has been ticked, or go one step further and select an individual item. You can also select what do you want to restart by, again overriding and providing finer level of detail. You could also specify a sort order. The key thing that I want you to point out here is that for the most part you'll be using the following: compute using, and however the thing to get used to is to understand the addressing fields, i.e. what will be included in the calculation, and what I call the reset field or the grouping field, the partitioning fields. How are you going to break this information down? So like I said, if it's unticked, it's grouped by. So have a think about that and explore this in your own time. The key thing here is to go to specific dimensions, and there's no real way to understand it apart from playing with it. So see what happens when you tick these and when you untick them. Again, this is all there is to configuration. However, there's one slight thing that we're going to look in the next lesson, and that's what happens when you're trying to edit the table calculation configuration when we have nested table calculations, i.e. a calculation within a calculation. So what we're going to do is look at that in the next lesson. But take your time, create a few table calculations, explore the edit table calculation window, because this would really drive home your understanding.